You can do well in the listening test by practicing a few techniques which we'll discuss in this course. You have time before the recording starts for each set of questions to read the instructions carefully and the questions. So read the instructions carefully. How many words do you need? Which questions are you answering? Look at each of those questions and decide, what kind of answer am I listening for? Am I listening for a name, a place, a number, a percentage? How many words do I need? Which answers are logical? Which are not logical? Sometimes you can eliminate unlikely answers just by reading the options. You can do well in the speaking test by practicing a few techniques which we discuss in this course. You're given time to study the questions before the recording starts, so use this time to read the instructions carefully. How many words do you need? Underline the keywords in the questions and in the options if it's a multiple choice question. Look at the order of the questions and tables. Which question am I going to answer first? What kind of answer do you need? Are you naming a place or do you need a number? So let's look at this in more detail. Look at this table. First I read the instructions. It says I can write no more than 2 words and or a number. Now let's think about the kind of answers we're listening for. The first one is under the title, Price Now. And it's next to digital radio. Looking above, I can see another price. So I predict that I must be listening for another price. Possibly higher because this one's a digital radio. The one before is an analog radio. Let's look at the next question. It's under the title which says Main Advantage, and it's next to it's in the horizontal column which says digital radio. I also think about the part of speech that I need, lots of something. I predict that the something I'm listening for is a plural noun. The next question is under the column second advantage of the analog radio. And it says excellent something. So I know I'm listening for a noun, since excellent is an adjective or a describing word. So I know I need a noun or a thing that is excellent. Something about the analog radio, of course. Length of guarantee is the title for the next question. So I know I'm listening for a period of time for the last question. And for the last question, I predict that I'm listening for something bad about the digital radio and that the answer is a singular noun because the question says something is short. Look at these possible answers. Which of these are not likely to be answers for the questions above? A is likely as it's just one number. B is unlikely as there are 3 words and we're only allowed up to 2. C is a possible answer as I'm allowed 2 words and a number. But D is unlikely as there are 2 numbers. So you see how important it is to read the instructions and predict the answer. Apart from the kind of answer, it's also useful to predict what part of speech you need. In other words, do I need a noun, a verb, an adjective? Or do I need a number or a percentage? Let's look at another example and try to predict the kind of answers we need. It's always a good idea to look how the numbers go before the recording starts. This is so you don't waste time looking for the question after it begins. Look how these numbers go. Number 1 is here, number 2 here, 3 here, 4, and then 5. Let's look at number 1. It's under the title Transport, and underneath there are some adjectives, poor and excellent. So we guess that we're listening for another adjective. Look at question 2. It's under the title Typical Style, and above we can see the word bungalows, and underneath we can see flats. So we predict that we're listening for another type of house, perhaps 2-story, detached or terraced. For question 3, I'm listening for a price, as it's in the column with house prices above. In question 4, the label of the horizontal column tells me that I need a temperature. And for question 5, I need a number with millimeters after it, as it's about the rainfall. So it's very important to read the question, underline the keywords, and predict the kind of answer you expect to hear. This will help you to avoid mistakes. Let's look at another example. Question 3 is under the title College Facility. And if I look above and below that question, I see some examples of other college facilities. So this gives me an idea of what I'm listening for. So I listen for some kind of service or facility at college that has a long waiting list. For question 24, what is logical? It's in the column labeled Fitness Center, and the question says reduced something for students. Perhaps fees, do you think? We call this making an educated guess about the answer, and this helps us focus on the specific information while we're listening so we don't miss the answer. Look at this short answer type question. In which month is the party going to be? By reading the question, I predict that I'm listening for a month. The recording says, so when's the party going to be? Well, it will have to be at the end of September. But does that answer the question, in which month? Well, no, it doesn't. The answer is simply September, not end of September. A common question students ask when you have to complete a sentence is, do I need to use prepositions, or can I answer with just one word? Look at this example of a sentence completion question. Harold suggests they discuss their assignment at the cafeteria. Is it okay to write just cafeteria? Simply answering cafeteria would not be the correct answer because it doesn't complete the sentence correctly. You need to use prepositions, in this case, in the. In other cases, the prepositions might be at, as in at the house, or by, as in at the river. Let's read this together. Harold suggests they discuss their assignment. Cafeteria, or be in the cafeteria. As we said, B is the answer because A is not grammatically correct. So check to see the sentence makes sense.